Welcome to the Business of You podcast, the show dedicated to helping service entrepreneurs build a better brand to grow a bigger business. I'm your host, Mel Griffin, and I'm here each week empowering you to put yourself out there, sharing actionable tips and inspiring stories so you can create your personal brand, grow your dream business, and build your future, all while making more income and more impact doing exactly what you love. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Business of You show. I'm your host, Mel Griffin. I'm a personal brand strategist for B2B professionals, helping you build your brand online and on LinkedIn. Today, I'm super excited to have a topic that is so important, that speaks volumes. It's about personal branding for aspiring professional women, why women need, and really anyone, but especially women, need to stand out and be visible. So we're going to show you exactly how to do it, why it's important, breaking down all those barriers that hold you from doing your personal brand. In fact, I had a poll just 2 days ago asking you, why are you not putting yourself out there, right? There's no shame in it because it's not promotional. It's about carving your narrative to show you in the best light so you can help others. And today we're going to learn all about it. Welcome to the show, Mel. It is so good to have you here. It's great to have you here all the way from the UK. Welcome to the show, Mel Stanley.
Hello.
Thank you. Well, for all of those who may or may not know you yet, Mel, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you help.
So, yes, I'm Mel Stanley. I'm a personal brand and marketing strategist, as you said. I'm in the UK, live just south of London. And I started my personal brand consultancy in September 2019. Before that, I was in advertising agencies and corporates for about 25 years as a brand strategist and marketing planner. Why I do what I do now, though, is I'm a bit of a warrior, and I have a thing about equality. And having really in agencies, I don't know whether it's the same in the US, but there are so many really strong female role models in agencies. And in agencies, you are taught to pitch, you're taught to public speak. It's part of the job. You know, you need to be able to do it. And you have a profile and you have a brand as such. When I finished my career, certainly my last role in corporates, I discovered that wasn't necessarily the case for everybody. And those environments are much more male dominated. So, you know, your title hit, get noticed, get results, much more difficult in those environments to be able to do that. And I figured I'd come to a career crossroads. I was kind of bored of what I was doing. And I thought, you know, how can I combine this fire for gender equality, this desire to advance the career of women, with something I can actually do, i.e. marketing and brand? And I went to a women's network and I was inspired, that was on personal branding, and I was inspired by some of the questions that were being asked and the approaches. Crazy things like, if I'm the only woman in the room, do I pour the tea? And you just think, where does all this come from? And so I started to do my research and I thought, you know what, I can help. I can do something here. So yeah, I jacked in the full-time job and started First Woman.
I love that. Congratulations. So you're the epitome of personal brand, using your story, your personal story, what matters to you, your expertise, all those years of marketing, branding, and using it for good to help others. So that's kind of the epitome of how I look at a personal brand. It's not self-promotional. Look at me. It's using your expertise, what makes you unique, defining all that, and getting out there to help. And you're helping corporate or aspiring professional women, right? Yeah. And that's corporate or entrepreneurial. Is that right?
All different. Yeah, I mean, most of my work is with corporates, so women who are in corporate life. I aim it very much at women who are on the up. So hence the aspiring, because I think exec leaders, they kind of get lots of training investments, but it's those positions as women that want to go from manager to leader, just need that profile raise and the confidence to be able to go, hey, I can do that job. Look at me. And that's where I think some of the struggles come in.
No, this is such an important topic because women need to be empowered more. And as you know, you may or may, I think you do know that Dan Roth and I, shout out to Dan if he's watching or listening, we have the Women's Empowerment Series. We recognize the need back in January, like we need to start the conversations. You're actually doing the work to change that in the corporate setting, because it kills me that people don't see their value. They don't have the voice, or they don't know how to articulate that so they can get out and promote themselves, and not self-promotion, but just to raise their profile to, better things. And so you saw that as a need. You went head first and starting First Woman, and shout out to your website too. She just launched her new website called firstwoman.rocks, which is very cool. So tell us what you do. Okay, you recognize the need. So you got in there, you started it. What was your first thing, and what were some of the roadblocks you were seeing these women had in that corporate aspiring setting?
Yeah, I started off just doing face-to-face workshops. That was pre-COVID. And so I used to get sort of 12 people in a room, and we would have a really quite immersive conversation around barriers and go through, the usual elements of personal branding, values, drivers, what's your purpose, and how to sell yourself in terms of an elevator pitch. And then, of course, COVID hit. So that was the biggest barrier, bar none, because, of course, I went from face-to-face to no face-to-face. And at that point, I hadn't really developed an individual coaching practice at all. And I had to very quickly pivot, as everybody did, everything online, and build some individual relationships, which is actually where LinkedIn came in. But part of that was finding out and understanding exactly what the problems were for women. So I did quite a lot of free speed coaching, 20-minute power sessions to uncover what some of these issues were. And it was things like, forget about the cultures that women have to operate in, and, the biases. There's this whole big things about this double standard of if I put myself forward, then are people going to think, am I going to be judged for being pushy and arrogant? But then if I don't put myself forward, there's no statement of intent. So my seniors won't think that I'm interested in a promotion. So there's a find in that. Also the conformity issue. So women tend to want to be liked more. They conform to cultures that will help them be liked and fit in rather than stand out. So, we get a lot of conformity, a lot of vanilla levels of women doing the same thing, just talking about how good at their job they are. And that's the third thing. Women work very hard at their jobs, but they don't, they expect that they will be promoted as a result. And that somewhere in the ether, in an organization with very busy people, somebody will say, hey, you know what, she's really good, we'll promote her. It doesn't work that way, because there's a lot of research to show that competency is only a small proportion of success. Awareness and visibility accounts for much more. That as well. And then finally, just the way women operate, they get some really close friends within organizations that help them navigate. Whereas men will know that they need to have many more advocates and a much more shallow network, but they're more visible to more people. So the whole way we go about things is very different. And, I can't do anything about cultures and bias and all of that. But what I can do is help women overcome some of these challenges so that they can stand up and be counted. And, we need more first women.
Yeah, we share a lot of the same thing. You're first woman, and mine's put yourself out there. Women, men, but especially women, true to my heart. I'm a woman entrepreneur. I come from a line of women entrepreneurs. My great grandmother, my mother were all entrepreneurs. And even back in the day, so women need to be out there, corporate or entrepreneur, no matter what, So it's a mindset thing I'm hearing from what these real problems you realize. It's a mindset thing. And how do you fix that?
I think
it's a cultural, but you overcome it with how? Is it changing that mindset? Because you can't do the cultural stuff, you said.
No, change is slow. The cultural stuff needs to happen, but that's a joint thing. That's not just, there's a lot of stuff at the moment about fix cultures, don't fix women. And I agree with that. But, that's not going to happen overnight. So in the interim, what can women do to help themselves? And I think getting past this idea that they're going to be negatively judged for their strengths and their achievements is the first. Getting over this idea that if I work really hard, then I'm going to get noticed. All that does is actually create a brand moniker around supremely competent, but not really a leader. This natural humbleness and humility that we're taught from when we're very small.
Yes.
Little girls should be seen and not heard. all
Mm.
of these things, and boys are taught to be more risk taking, whereas girls are told, don't do that, it's dangerous, you might hurt yourself. So there's so much stuff that contributes to this. So I think
Yeah.
yes, it's mindset, but it's also it's the bravery to be able to put yourself out, and that's I think that's one of the biggest things is if you really want to accelerate your career, you have to be seen. It's that simple.
Exactly. It's that simple, especially in today's online world. That's a perfect segue to telling us how to do it. Before I do that, I'm going to talk to you about that poll I mentioned in the intro. I think I said, what's holding you back from putting out your personal brand? Well, 54% or something said, I don't feel comfortable doing it. They don't feel comfortable. And for the reasons you just said. Now, you've been doing this for a year and a half in this consultancy and way more in your years of marketing branding. What are you doing? What's your strategy? What's the way you're changing that, shifting that, and getting these women out there? Because being seen, being visible, being known is the key. So tell us, how is someone who's just sitting here thinking they know that, but they're not doing it?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Well, I think the first thing is that confidence, all of this credibility all comes from knowing your own value and what you're bringing to the party and making that a point of differentiation. That's the first thing. Because once you've got that nailed, you can build so much more out on that platform. In order, as you said, in today's world, especially online, being able to find that point of differentiation is difficult. So sometimes you have to create it. And that's exactly the same strategy that we would use with a commercial brand. What's the value proposition of that brand? Who are you helping? What is it that you do that is different? And what's the positive outcome to who you're helping? If you've got that sorted, then you feel a lot more comfortable and confident with expressing that as a strength about who you are, and that's what your brand is about. And then from there, then you can build out the tactics for being seen and being able to articulate that brand. There's lots of ways of doing that without being really shouty and braggy and out there saying, hey, I'm brilliant. There's lots of ways of being visible nowadays that don't require that. But the first thing is, who's your audience? Who are you looking to impress? And this is the other thing that, everybody needs to do, actually, not just women, is identify the boss's boss's boss. The decision-making unit for your career is not just who you work for. It's so being able to be seen by other people beyond your immediate superior is absolutely key. So how do you manufacture the opportunities to do that, to be noticed by them? And again, there's speak at network events, write articles. If you've got an internal communication like Yammer or something like that, stuff on there. It doesn't always have to be about you. It could be about team achievements where you credit other people, but just make damn sure that they know you led it.
Exactly.
It's those kind of things. And you know what? They're quite subtle. But before you know it, your name starts to get noticed. And as long as your name is associated with the positives and the right thing, then that just builds your reputation. And that's what branding is all about at the end of the day, is reputation.
Yeah, a positive controlled narrative, but the real you, not the manufactured you. But it's a little bit different because you work do you work with women who trying to get jobs, or are they already in the corporate setting? They just kind of want to grow up, promote it. You do both. Okay.
Yeah. So really, it's no different. I think the tools of visibility, if you like, are slightly different because for women who want to stay where they are but just get promoted in their organisation, they might love working where they are for lots of reasons, and that's great. But when you've got an internal audience there, and it's attracting different opportunities that present themselves because it's pretty much within the confines of your workspace and your company. If you're looking for a new job, it's entirely different because depending on what you want to do, whether you want to stay in your career discipline, in your lane and just do the same thing for someone else, or whether you want promotion, or whether you want to completely flip, there's different ways of doing that. And some of my courses, I've had everything. I've had people who in one course, women who want to just get promoted, vertically, linear progression, ultimately ended up starting their own businesses because they define their purpose and their dreams as not staying in the same place. And then there's those that just wanted another job in a better culture, but all of the persuading them that they can apply for a job that they don't feel 100% perfect.
Well, you're saying not only for what you do for, going up the corporate ladder or getting a new job, that's why you want a personal brand, because you may change your mind. That brand stays with you no matter what. It is you. So develop it, define it, differentiate it, develop it. That's what I do. So, if you're in corporate now and you want to go up the ladder, or you're in corporate now and you want to find a whole new career in another industry, you're in corporate now and you want to go out on your own, start defining it now. One of the things I most regret in the 5 years it took me to leave my job is that I wasn't building my brand. I've said this story many times because I don't want anyone to make the mistakes I did. 5 years took me to step out, but I should have been, instead of dumping time and money in courses and certifications, I should have been out there defining myself and all that. So that's why I have my mantra, put yourself out there, because one of the things happens when you do put yourself out there, you get that clarity and that confidence and that community. And like you said, that community, as you mentioned, the men seem to have a bigger network than the women. We stay in smaller circles. So we need to expand our circles. So I love that, what you do. So the brand is important no matter whom you are. We're talking about women today, but this applies to everyone. So tell me, Mel, in your courses, because it sounds like, I know you have a big course coming out in September. So I want everyone we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show, but what are some of the tactical ways? You gave us some of the ways to subtly put yourself out there. What are some of the other ways women can build their brand and be more visible?
I think so. Some of the framework that I use is a very simple: where are you now? Where do you want to be? And how to get there. And the interesting insights when working with women is always the where they want to be, because everybody has their own dreams and ideas, and we kind of forget it in the daily life, and we just carry on in our job and all the rest of it. So reigniting dreams is a big part of that, because I think one of the things that we miss nowadays is being happy and enjoying our jobs. It's such a big part of what we do. We do it 9 till 7 or 9 till 6, whatever it might be. So finding joy in what you're doing is really important, but you really only find joy in things that you are really interested in and passionate about. And I think some of the great thing about personal branding, just going through the process, is when you start to dig into what your values and your drivers and your professional purposes and the things that interest you, all of these things come bubbling to the surface. And they create, reflect, and offer. And that's why some of the workshops I did, the managers who hired me, I used to say, I'm going to apologize now if anybody decides to resign. Because that's what used to happen. There was a couple of times that people just thought, oh, do you know what? I realized I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go and do something else. I know somebody who's just gone off and started her own physiotherapy business and left her tech job. It's this unraveling of who you really, that's the first part of it. And then where you want to be, so whether it's living or not. But then it's essentially a communications plan. That's what I put together with my clients, is where are the opportunities for visibility? Where can you be seen? And most importantly, where can you be seen by the people who you need to influence?
Exactly.
Because there's no point in being seen by absolutely everybody. It's got to be the people that you influence. And you're talking about posts. I did one on LinkedIn a few days ago talking about one of my things, which is competency won't get you promoted. You need to be able to see other people. And it was one of my best performing posts. And part of the reason for that was that a senior stakeholder from my last role who actually sponsored me responded. And then all of a sudden, because he's got a massive network, people dived in and said, absolutely, competency is only a small part.
Wow. Yeah.
There. And this was from a C-suite board director, a CFO, that was endorsing that. So, and I thought, if you believe it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of things that women do to self-reject. Use of language that we have with pre-qualifiers and our justs and our buts and I'm sorries and all
I'm sorries are bad. Yes.
And it destroys your credibility.
Yes.
So one of the other things we work on, again, because I had lots of public speaking training for pitching when I was in advertising, is how you can not just present yourself and be visible, but what are those verbal and sensory cues and behaviors that you can look like you're confident, even if it's not fake it till you make it, but it's it's being able to manage all of that and know some of the techniques and the tactics that can make you appear super, super confident, whether you're introverted, whether you hate putting yourself out there, whatever that is, confidence can be trained.
Oh, exactly. And I don't believe for a second that people say I'm introverted. I don't need a brand. I don't need to get out there, because that's just all learned stuff. I know so many people who they self-proclaim to be introverts and you would never know it. So that
Yeah.
shouldn't stop it, because a lot of people will put that label on themselves and just say I don't have to do anything. I'm an introvert, right? So no, because you're denying yourself opportunities when you are. And that's fascinating that C-suite, that CFO validated that. And I'm sure that goes across the board, so great ideas to do this, great tactics, great strategies. We're very similar in our views and our mantras, um, tactics and that. So when you're getting people through the thing, and the women through this, here you are, where you're going,
Framework. Yeah.
do you get them there and then continue to work with them, or they're good to go on their own? How does that work for you?
Well, it depends. I mean, some come back because
Okay.
they want repeat sessions, or there's something that they get stuck with, or
Mhm.
a challenge along the way that they don't feel able or need some support on. But it's a package. So I tend not to do sort of 6 months, 10 months, weekly
Yeah.
stuff. It's a package, and at the end of it, they or should have all of the basic fundamentals for building a brand and taking that brand out there with
Hmm.
confidence and credibility. And that's really the sell in all of this. Because, of course, promotions and advancing your career is great for the individual. But
Hmm.
my biggest, the whole thing, the reason I do this is because I honestly believe that we will not get gender equality either here or over there unless we've got more women in senior positions.
Oops,
And
sorry.
sorry. And of course, there's the culture, but there's got to be more women who are tooled up and feel able to apply for those senior roles. And not self-reject and think I can't do that. That's what we've got to get over, and that's why I'm doing this. I mean, my whole model is actually based on. Do you know the Google I Am Remarkable? Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm. No, tell me.
So Google run a program, it's a free program called I Am Remarkable, and it's very, very short, but
Hmm.
essentially it's worldwide, and they train women within corporates, within businesses, to teach the other women in their network what it is about them that's remarkable. Hence hashtag I Am Remarkable. And the
Very
end of
cool.
that is to say I am remarkable because, and you name a strength. And it's a bit like a pyramid, it just goes
Hmm.
out as a ripple effect. And that's what I want First Woman to be, because that's how we'll get more women in senior positions to get over these challenges to success. And
Hmm.
then we'll get, if we ever get to 50-50, then those women are in a position to say, you know what, we need more flexibility at work, we need more childcare, we need more paternal leave, not just maternal leave, all of those things that would help women be able to hold their jobs for longer. And God knows we need it now, because we have lost so many talented women as a result of the pandemic. They've
Exactly.
jobs because they can't do the childcare and everything else. So it's so important that the women who want to do this, and not everybody does, the women who want to do this have got the tools to be able to succeed.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And one other thing is, women don't make equal pay for men. It's like 70 cents on the dollar or something. It's different in every country. So yeah, those are strong things. I support you so much. So we're just in the last few minutes. And as I always do, thank you, Mel, for this. What are your three takeaways that women who are looking to be aspiring, get themselves out there? What are your three takeaways for them today?
I've got four.
Four, even
So
better.
we've talked about this. Hard work and competency alone won't get you success. You need to be visible as well. So that's the first one. Don't assume that your boss knows how good you are or what you're doing. There's a great book called Why Men Win at Work by Jill Whitty Collins. She calls it the umbrella theory. Women need to come out from under the umbrella and tell their boss what they're doing and why they're great, because they're very busy. They're not necessarily going to know. Ask for what you want and be clear
Mm,
on it, and don't hint. We hint. Um,
yes.
and we don't ask exactly for what we want, and then we wonder why we don't get it. So that's
Mhm.
another thing, and there's lots of I cover that in the training as well. And finally, it's about, it's action. You have to find the opportunities to be seen. They don't come to you. So it's a statement of intent. I want to be visible. You have to do it, and you have
Mhm.
to take action to do that. Otherwise, you won't be seen. You will be overlooked.
Yes. Oh, I love that you gave us a bonus. Those are very powerful. So we'll get those out too, because those were worth repeating. Now, Mel, this is another section of the show that I love everyone's input here. What is your personal or professional mantra that helps women put themselves out there, or what you believe in to inspire us to build that brand?
Yeah, so there's a very, very well-known book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by a lady called
Mm,
Jeffries. It's quite an old book now. I have a twist on it, which is face the fear and do it
mhm.
anyway. And the reason I think face is better is because it's much more active and much more action orientated. Because you have to face all of these things that stop you being visible. You have to face down all of these things that stop you, that get in the way, that you know, those demons that say, I can't do this.
Yep.
You've got to face them down, because most of the time, you know, fear is 99% in your head. It is
Yes.
not an indication of what's going to happen if you do something. Again, you know, that's my thing is, yeah, face the fear and do it anyway. Every time I'm doing this, I'm facing the fear. You know, we
Yeah.
post LinkedIn, we face the fear.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a question of you just got to do it, and the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Oh, I can tell you that. Like for me, getting my first LinkedIn Live, I was so scared. You know, it's going live. I don't care how talented you are. You always have that little sense of that little weird fear that comes up. So now I'm on my ninth show, and it's not, it's easier. Like just getting out there and staying consistent. It just gets easier, gives you the confidence. So I love all that. So Mel, you've got a wonderful program course coming out you've been working so hard on. Give us a shout out and tell us where we can find it. So if women are out there interested.
It's going to be launching in September. There's a few details on my website. That's www.firstwoman.rocks. And it's an online course. So it's self-paced, video tutorial and presentation. Going to be about 4 hours of content. So quite intense over 3 modules. Those same 3 modules we talked about. Where are you now? Where do you want to get to and how to get there?
Okay.
And it's priced so that everybody can afford it. So yeah, and I'll be promoting it, but it'll be on Thinkific from middle of September.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, check that out. So if you don't have, maybe the time or the resources to, invest in someone one-on-one, this is be the next best thing.
Yes.
Mel, you're tremendous. I am so honored to have you here to talk about such an important topic that I want to get out there too. I want more women to be empowered to put themselves out there. So thank you for your time today. Thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait to see your course. And I want to thank you everyone for your valuable time, for us to be in your feed, hopefully, or listening on this podcast for this information, because we both feel as personal brand strategists that you need to get out there. You need to be visible to take what's good and help the world with what you do. So today I want to thank you and be back next week, because we will be on the 10th episode of The Business of You with a very special guest on how to build your personal brand. So until then, I'm your host, Michelle Griffin, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We definitely need more impactful entrepreneurs like you out there. So if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you build your personal brand to grow your business, please check out yourbrandyourbusiness.com. And until next time, you have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. Now go put yourself out there and watch the business of you grow.